Someone cuts you off in traffic, or a coworker makes a biting, sarcastic comment. In an instant, your chest tightens, your heart rate spikes, and a physical wave of rage floods your system. This spike represents the flood of stress chemicals hitting your bloodstream. Biologically, those chemicals naturally flush from your system, curving down to zero in exactly 90 seconds. This creates a massive gap between our biology and our behavior. If the physiological reality of anger expires in less than 2 minutes, why do we let a single comment ruin our entire afternoon? We act like someone hearing a smoke alarm over burnt toast. We tend to ignore the open window and continue making more toast. We replay the insult, we rehearse our comebacks in the shower, and we keep the smoke from clearing. Most of us keep the anger alive through cognitive rumination, subconsciously replaying the event until it becomes a habit. In this state, you manually override your body's cooling system, transforming a brief biological reflex into a sustained choice. Our default defense is usually to blame the other person for making us mad. We treat the people around us as if they have remote control access to our internal feelings. In reality, no one has a magical remote for your emotions. Other people can only push the specific buttons that you personally provide them. These buttons consist of unhealed wounds or past values violations. When someone sets you off, that external trigger locks into an internal vulnerability. They are simply holding a spotlight up to the areas where you still need to heal. Recognizing this dynamic strips the power from those around you. You graduate from a state of passive reaction to becoming the active operator of your own mind. Understanding our triggers requires a deeper look at what anger actually represents. In psychology, anger is rarely a primary emotion. Anger functions as an emotional security guard. Its job is to show up, look intimidating, and protect fragile feelings like fear, hurt, or shame that lie at your center. If your partner forgets an anniversary, the resulting explosion is an armored version of a much more fragile question. Do I not matter to you? It feels safer to be angry than to be vulnerable. As long as you fight the security guard, the underlying conflict remains. While anger creates distance, addressing that fragile core is what leads to actual resolution. Finding that resolution requires accessing the microscopic fraction of a second that exists between an external trigger and your automatic response. Viktor Frankl identified this capacity while surviving a Nazi concentration camp. He observed that even in the most extreme conditions, a person retains the freedom to decide their internal response to any external pressure. You can expand this gap by adopting the observer self. This involves watching your feelings rise and fall like weather patterns. You notice the irritation without adopting it as your identity. With the observer self engaged, difficult people transform into emotional personal trainers. They provide the resistance needed to build your psychological resilience and test your progress. Tactical defense helps maintain this internal calm. Strategy 1 is compassionate distance. You can care about someone's struggle without carrying their emotional baggage, much like a lifeguard who throws a life preserver without jumping in to drown. Healthy boundaries function as gates. They provide a filter for what you allow into your emotional space, protecting your peace while keeping your heart open to others. Removing yourself from a triggering situation is a tactical maneuver. This strategic timeout provides the biological reset your prefrontal cortex needs to regain control of your reactions. Taking 5 minutes of space prevents the kind of reactive damage that takes weeks to repair. It ensures your response is driven by logic rather than a chemical spike. The ultimate control mechanism is narrative. You are experiencing the story you tell yourself about reality rather than experiencing reality directly. You serve as the editor of that story. If your boss sends a curt email, interpreting it as a sign of impending termination creates immediate panic. Editing that narrative to, "they are busy and want to help me improve," instantly neutralizes the chemical threat. Pick one strategy for the next 7 days. Track the 90-second flush, look for the hidden choice point, or step into the observer self. The people who seem unshakable rely on consistent practice. They have conditioned the space between trigger and response until emotional mastery became their automatic reflex. Who will you become when no one has the power to steal your peace?